Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are driving this fantastic little car. So this is the 2024 Mazda Miata, of course, but this is the retractable fastback, meaning it is the RF in the Grand Touring spec, the top of the line spec. Personally, I would go for the 2024 Club with the Brembo Recaro package. That is a $4,500 option, but I do think it totally transforms the design of this car. This one is finished in snowflake pearl white, which looks great when the sun is out. I would want to go with the solar red because that is by far my favorite color for the Miata. We do have some changes when it comes to the exterior design for 2024. We also have a new limited slip differential that is supposed to keep it a little bit more stable when you're braking and accelerating, and we have the 6-speed manual in this case. Let's pop the hood and let's check out what is powering this little beauty of a sports car. So when it comes to the power numbers, it might not sound that impressive. 181 horsepower, 151 pound-feet of torque, and that is it from a 2-liter naturally aspirated inline 4-cylinder. 0 to 60 is done in about 5.9 seconds. And the thing about this though is that the weight, it just weighs over 1 ton, and it weighs only 70 kilos more than the original NA from 1989. I don't know how Mazda managed to do that, but it's a beautiful little engine specifically connected to the 6-speed manual transmission. Of course, we do have rear wheel drive. So let's pop this back down. Let's talk a little bit about the design changes that we have for 2024. So as you can see, the front end looks pretty much very similar to what we have in 2023. However, we do have new headlights here. So you see that the daytime run lights in this case is integrated now in the headlight unit itself. And this being the Grand Touring, we also have full LED adaptive headlights, meaning that it turns with the steering wheel. This is not a functional air vent down here, but we do have functionality, of course, in the middle of the grille right here. And we also have this trim piece down here at the bottom, this splitter being specific for the Grand Touring. If you decide to go with the Club and the Recaro Brembo package, that is going to be a little bit more of a substantial front lip, which again, I just prefer that the Club and the Recaro Brembo because it just transforms the design of this car. When we come around to the side view, beautiful proportions of this car. It just looks great. It looks like a much more expensive car, this one being spec'd at about $38,000. We're gonna have a look at the sticker when we look at the interior. We have 17-inch wheels in this case, with these pieces being sort of this metallic finish here and the rest is all black. I want to have a metallic rim going around it as well to have this circular feel for this wheel. This is a 205mm wide tire with the 17-inch wheels. We have the same setup in the back as well, and of course being a retractable fastback, meaning that the top naturally goes down into the trunk. And I do think that is a good idea to offer this type of vehicle or setup for the Miata, because it becomes a lot more quiet when you're out on the highway than if you have a soft top. But at the same time, it sort of feels like the Miata maybe is supposed to always be a soft top, but this still, I'm not sure which one I want to pick. This looks so good with this integration of the hardtop up top. Now in the back here, we do have brand new taillights here as well, so you can see that we have a much deeper design. It goes in to the body of the car. I love this design of the new taillights. We also have a new indicator here, some functionality down here because these are actually reflector lights. Two pipes on one side, so we don't have symmetrical tailpipes in this case, but it's totally fine for me. And since this came out in 2016, when it wasn't regulated that you need to have a reverse camera, that came in 2017, so they were off a little bit with the timing there, unfortunately, Mazda. So they decided for 2017 to integrate the rear view camera, and they just placed it right here smack in the middle of the bumper. It looks a little weird, but still it does have a nice little housing for it down here at the bottom. You can pop the trunk. You have the button down here, and it's not working now because the car is on, so let's just pop it from the inside. You also have a button down here. This should work. There we go. Just want to show you the trunk space back here and what this looks like. Pretty decent amount of space considering that this roof folds down right in front of this. Now let's jump in and have a look at this interior, because I think Mazda is still doing fantastic interiors, and this is no different. It has this classic layout, very analog feel to this interior. There's no storage in the door panel at all, and I kind of like that, because that means that this is a proper sports car. You have this tan Napa leather for the Grand Touring. If you go with the Recaro Brembo package, this is going to be blacked out. The seats are going to be different as well. You get Recaro seats, still heated. These are also heated, but you can see that these feels more like touring seats, and that comes with a name, I guess. They feel a little bit more comfortable and more luxurious. Some people might like this and some people do not, but I like that we have the body color coming in here in the door panel itself. So let's jump in here. Let me show you around this interior before we take this for a drive. So we have tachometer. That's the first thing you notice when you jump in here, is the big tachometer right in the middle, right there, looking nice. And I also love that we have the fenders. You can see the fenders up front just swooping over the front axle, having this very sporty look to this design. We have a new 8.8-inch infotainment screen here that is new. The old one used to have some angles right here, and I actually think that this looks a little bit more modern than the old screen. Further down we have this integration that looks exactly like the taillight. We have a round piece here, and then this sticking into this piece, and you have this dial downstairs to navigate through the infotainment screen. It's not a touch screen unless you plug it in with the wireless charging. I also want to show you the hardtop, how that works. You have this toggle here, so you just hold this, and then this entire roof just folds down in the bag. It's so cool to have this solution for this in this price range, $38,000. So before we go for a drive, I want to show you this sticker as well, so you can have a look at this. So we have a 2024 Mazda MX-5 RF. The price for this one, as this one is spec'd with the delivery, processing and handling fee, comes out to almost $39,000. And this has a snowflake white pearl with the tan Napa leather, as you can see right here, and all the options here. If you want to pause the video, I'm gonna throw it up here on the screen. Now you don't have any glove box here, so this is pretty much the only big compartment you have back here is right in between the seats. You also have a couple of more storage spots behind the seats as well. So if you move the seats forward, you can see that you have some storage in the back wall here. I think that this car is the best sports car ever made. Not just the ND, but the Miata in general is just such a good sporty experience. You have so much fun. I was a little bit worried about 181 horsepower, 151 pound-feet of torque sounding a little maybe too weak or something like that, but it doesn't matter because this just weighs, as I said, just over a ton, and they haven't really added more weight onto this car since the first generation from 1989. And keep in mind that these days you have a lot more safety features in this car and a lot more technology. It's kind of a little bit of a magic trick that Mazda has done there to keep the weight down. So 0 to 60 in about 5.9 seconds, and this 6-speed manual is just an absolute joy to drive. I mean, I don't think it gets any better than this. This is one of these cars that it doesn't matter what speed you're going. It's always a fun car to drive. Even if you're going 40, it feels like you're going 90 because of the size of this car and just the way it handles in corners, and even going on highways. It's pretty comfortable, and I'm 6'2", and that's another worry I had before I was I've had this for a few days now, if I'm gonna fit in this car, but I have plenty of room in here, and I feel totally comfortable driving this on longer road trips, no problems at all. So I'm flooring it right now, up to the red line, 7,000 RPM into third. Just a blast, this car. 181 horsepower is totally enough for this weight and this size of car. This ND is actually, this is something we rarely see today, but this is actually smaller than the NC. The NC was, I do believe that was the biggest Miata they ever made. And then they thought, let's go back to what a Miata is all about. And that is not an easy thing to do today when everybody wants bigger vehicles, more power. It's very easy to get it, you know, trapped in that philosophy of always adding and adding and adding to the cars. But Mazda did the opposite with the ND. They went back to what a Mazda is supposed to be. Just a fun, simple sports car. And you can see the simplicity in here. These dials, you have AC, of course, you have automatic high beams for the Grand Touring, and these beautiful seats, heated seats. You have pretty much everything you need in here. And personally, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I don't feel like I want to add more things into this car, because I feel like all my needs are met. And this is definitely a car that I would not mind at all driving, you know, across the country, even though it is this small of a size. I also like that you have this removable cup holders here, so you can remove these and place them in different locations within the interior. Or if you don't want cup holders, you can just store them back there in the glove box. So we're gonna take this out on the highway, and I want to show you what this feels like out at about 70 miles per hour. It's actually a lot more comfortable than I was expecting it to be. It is still a little bit noisy, but again, it's not something that I care anything about. I mean, I don't care about the noise in this car. It's supposed to be a light car, and that is what it is. And I'm flooring it again, going downhill now into 4th, and we're up to about 75, putting into 6th. One thing I do wish this car had, though, even though the gearing is what it is dialed up for, you know, just having fun at lower speeds. But when you're at highway speeds like this, you can see that we're sitting at about 3,000 RPM. Even though this is great fuel economy, it still feels like we're revving so high, just cruising at 70. But that's one trade-off you're gonna get with this type of setup for the gearbox, and I'm totally fine with that as well, because when you're going up in the mountains right here and just keeping it under 60, it's one of the best cars money can buy. I like the steering wheel as well. It feels very small and nice. I don't want a big steering wheel for a car like this. This is supposed to be a small sports car, and usually the smaller the steering wheel, the sportier the car. And I also like how this is wobbling around there as we go along. The gear shifter, they switched this up as well, so now it has a lot shorter shifts, which also adds a bit to the sportiness of this car. Now, this weighing just over 1,000 kilos, just over a ton. At highway speeds, it still feels very, very solid. There is no nervousness in the way this handles, and it goes like it's on rails if you wanted to. And then if you take it into corners, definitely one of the best handling small little sports cars out there. So it's a complete package. As I said, if you want to take this on a longer road trip, I would not mind that at all. But when it comes to highway stability and the comfort in here, it's completely fine. I just love the way this hood is sculpted, because you can see, we see exactly where the front wheels are, thanks to these beautiful muscles going over the front end. And that is one of the reasons why I think this feels like a much more exotic little car than what it actually is. And it's one of these cars that as soon as you step out of this, it doesn't matter how long you've been driving it for, you just want to get back into this car and just go for another drive, because it is so much fun to drive. So overall, this being the Grand Touring, the top of the line, I don't really necessarily need the adaptive headlights and the comfort features that you have with the Grand Touring. And I also prefer, as I said, the sportier vibe. So if it was me buying this car, I would go with the Club, which is a little bit cheaper, and then add the $4,500 Brembo Recaro package with the black BBS wheels and the Recaro seats. You also have the more aggressive rear spoilers and the splitters in the front end in Soul Red. That would be my personal buy or spec for the 2024 Mazda Miata. But if you would like more comfort, this still has the built-in damper, so it's still a very sporty setup for this car. And if you like these type of interiors better, then I guess the Grand Touring is the one to go with.